Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
So I do enjoy the odd troll and kind of different things, and I like to test people's patience. Something I did was recently one of the groups we're in.
Wait, like a river troll or a stone troll?
Stone troll, I think would be the
Okay.
best description right there. But
Stone cold, maybe. Yeah.
stone
Okay.
cold troll. One of the best things though is one of the groups we're in. We've had a recent obsession with Canada's ability to bag milk. So what I did
True.
was I ripped the audio out of a bagged milk infomercial, which was about 40 seconds long. I went into one of their voice channels and I just left it playing on repeat over and over and over again for about an hour. And then kind of just recorded the results. And then there's one guy, most people quit pretty quickly and didn't want like anything to do with it. You'd be like, what is this? Okay, gone. Not so much some other people though.
Be a mystery for a lot of people online, especially Americans. I'll show you how big milk works.
Too.
We have them in bags to keep them fresh. Now, it comes in a big bag at any grocery store. Some places recycle them, but most people throw them out. You can also donate them to most church groups, and they weave them into mats for poor countries. In a big bag, there are 3 bags.
This is like someone's high school project about bagging milk.
Do you know how fresh the bag milk is? Each bag has a best
John, if you're
before
speaking,
date.
by the way, I can't hear you over the side of the bagged milk thing. It's literally impossible to hear you.
Milk pitchers are very common. You can get them at any home furnishing store. They probably even sell them at the dollar store. They're very easy to find.
So
you just place the bag.
That would be Innes, the only person, captain of Team Scotland for ETC. So like a well-respected and known, a well-known 40K player. Did not leave that chat and just sat there. I have like 3 minutes of just pure commentary on this bag milk thing, to the point where now, like, yeah, he can recite it word for word. I'm like, why did you stay? He was like, it was just queuing for League of Legends, which apparently is a thing. But yeah, big up to our quote unquote winner for that. You win the chance to save money on Ray's energy drinks with promo code sellout. Oh man, we're back in again for another remote edition of Mob Rules. I am John, joined of course by
Back and Danny.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying a different way of doing it this time. Before we used a different, very expensive paid service, which apparently like desynced our audio like right at the very like more and more to each time. But right at the end when I guess I should do the
I'll blow a hole in you with my
corrections and omissions. Corrections and omissions being that we were desynced audio-wise like the last half of the last podcast. So sorry, one, that you listened that far, and then two, that our audio was desynced. It wasn't very much. It was like a few seconds, but like things that were pointed out, like Danny said goodbye, and then I said, Danny, say goodbye. So it just went really weird by the end there. No, worth $20 a month. No siree, yeah. Bob. Not at all.
Hard agree.
But yeah, it's been 2 weeks. It's certainly been 2 weeks. We're gonna go a little bit of what we've been up to, and then we're gonna have a guest on. So we're doing like all the things today. We're bringing in another person, which usually gives me technical issues. We're trying a new service, which usually gives me technical issues.
Amazing.
And then, people did mention as well last episode that you were pretty quiet volume-wise, Danny, but I wanted to let everyone know that's not a bug, it's a feature. You're all welcome for that.
Because I'm loud in person, let me tell you.
So while I sip my Kirkland brand hard seltzer from my Ray's energy drink Met Gun, I've been pretty mellow the past couple of weeks. With coronavirus exploding around town, like I've kind of not really been up to much. I finished Saturnine, which, man, what a great book. Like literally, like I think one of my favorite heresy books. second favorite overall, because I think still Lost in the Damned edges it out for me. But I think that's kind of just from the perspective the book is told that is kind of more my jam. But it's just still so good, and
I
characterization
had to put it down for a minute.
spot on. You said Lost in the Damned you put down, or Saturday Night you put down?
Yeah, I no, Lost and Damned I put down. I'm like, all right, I need a little bit of a heresy palate cleanser. This is just so like, I don't know. I really liked the scene with the Beastmen. That was cool.
Yeah, when they were just like all like super like hyped up and drugged up and everything.
Yeah.
It was really cool and very intense. But a great book. I moved on to Indominus, the book that released alongside 9th edition and the Indominus box sets. Wow, what a change of pace from Heresy to Indominus. I think I stopped. I'm not super enjoying it, but I also don't think it was designed or written with me in mind. Not like me personally, but someone kind of with like my level of 40k knowledge and kind of like my background with it. It's definitely a great place to introduce new people to, especially kind of new Space Marine people too, because it goes a lot in depth of the units and how things work. There was a couple of cool things in there. It introduces the fact that Primaris captains and like ranked officers are now pretty much VAT born and VAT trained because so many died in the first couple bits of Indominus. So you get like this real cool playoff of like, I mean, well, we've all been in jobs, right? Where we've had like all the experience and we know what we're doing, and then they bring in this kid fresh from college who thinks they know everything because they ran 3 training simulations on it. That was kind of a nice dynamic. And then kind of the Necron point of view during biotransference was pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. That was my favorite part of the book, was how the pre-Necron tier, like before they became Necrons, and how sad they were and that kind of stuff. I really liked that.
But that did make me pick up the audiobook with between the way it has like the 2 Necron faces on the front of the cover. So I'm excited for that one, and for someone who really could care less for Necron background and lore, as a person who's just like, they're just dirty space Egyptians. Like it's going to be interesting to see kind of where it goes from there.
I heard that one is amazing.
So super excited for that one. I painted some of a bloodthirster, a lot of a bloodthirster. It's a beautiful model. It's so many cool little details, so many cool little things. Like I look at it now and I remember, Danny, when you brought yours to a game and then Joe broke it. And I'm like, man, that's because it has stupid little contact points that just don't make any sense.
You're so small.
But in the kind of the picture of new GW models where everyone is like on the tiptoe foot, like jumping off of a ruin, it's really not that bad. So it's like just like leaping from fire. But it's a great kit. I've had a great time painting it. I think I didn't know if I said last time or not, but I got a couple units of Furies, which are just amazing models. Again, super spindly, but I don't know, they look like unnervingly unnatural. Like they describe in the Indominus book, blood letters, and how they're all like sinewy muscle. And the reason they're so skinny at the waist is because they have no need for organs. So they're like,
right.
It's just muscle and bone. Like that's super cool. And then like looking at the Fury kit, which is just a Age of Sigmar Warcry kit, I'm like, wow, that really makes sense why they look the way they do now. But excited to get those guys done. I ordered another box that gets me up to 18 total, which again, I don't think I need more than 15, but sadly those things come in boxes of 6. So there's only so much you can do with that. Aside from that though, and then continuing my quest to batch paint 130 blood letters, where I'm kind of stage 2 on 50 of them. I haven't really been up to much. Danny, what have you been doing?
Man, that's impressive, John.
I know my not up to much is like hobbying, all the hobbying.
I know. Dang, you talked about books you read. That's it was impressive. I've been reading Horse Heresy stuff, so I am like halfway through Lost in the Damned, but I put it down for a minute to read something else because I got tired of reading about the heresy and how depressing it is sometimes.
It's a super
Like,
depressing
especially-
book.
Yeah, a little bit. And especially like the humans that like are like absolutely doomed to die, and like they know that they're gonna die. And there's nothing that they can do about it. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's a great perspective though, and then like the way that
For
the
sure.
different sides like approach those ones, because you have like the way the traitors approach humans who are just there to die, and how like the loyalists do it too.
Right. So hobby wise, let's see here. I got the Silent King's throne built, and it's like mostly painted. I'd say it's like probably 75% done. I've just got to do like a lot of purple and gemming and stuff like that on it, and then it'll be done, and then I can start working on the actual riders and the big ass cloak.
Jamming
that
would
the
be
Silent
the
King has.
Necron form of rimming, I would assume.
Yeah, it has has a little bit more to do with like geology, but yeah, you're pretty close.
It's rock based.
So I did that. I have been like just trying to get a game in has been difficult. So I managed to have a game today, which was awesome with our guest actually.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit here.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Let
when
him put
it's
his
here.
side to the table and not just the Danny show.
Okay, that's fair.
You
I want to hear what he thought for sure. So
and then you guested on a whole bunch of podcasts this past couple weeks too.
oh yeah. So we did the Art of War Down Under. There's probably about 10 hours of content that Michael Tempe and I did for them. It's
Those
a lot.
bastards trimmed it down to an hour and a half, where it's just like scarabs, obsec,
So
Nightbringer.
good. Yeah. Well, hey, those are not all the tricks. We went through every single stratagem, every single warlord trait, like, and talked about every single one of them and what we thought, which was cool. Let's see here. I did, yeah. So I played that game, did that podcast. I also did a podcast with Dingley Boys. So Seth and Shelby had me on to talk about like Shelby's Necrons and kind of some tips and tricks for units that we thought, how they're doing, that kind of thing. So that was pretty fun. And then I'm doing another podcast tomorrow. I'm gonna do the best in faction Necron faction focus, which is cool.
I think what was great was you told me, like, after 10 hours of talking about Necrons of Art of War Down Under, you're like, I'm done. I don't want to talk about Necrons anymore. Like, I will never talk about Necrons again. And I need a break. I need to do something else. And then, like, it's the rest of development, the Raider, whereas, like, he didn't.
That's exactly correct. So, but yeah, I'm having a good time. I've been building some lists. I have some other stuff I want to try. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been a good couple weeks.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to keep anyone waiting for like the real show. And I really want to introduce people to the person who made people rage at repulsors like no other. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna be right back after this.
Do you have a single
Anecdotal.
bolt, a standard bolt gun? Having trouble maintaining an acceptable Xenos kill count? Only barely over 2 meters tall? Maybe it's time to ask your lieutenant if the Rubicon Primaris is right for you. The Rubicon Primaris is a prescription process that helps you to update that tired look. You may notice an increase in your purging abilities after within 2 to 4 hours. You may experience loss of life, additional organs, and a points increase. Do not take the Rubicon if you plan on fitting into rhinos, drop pods, or other traditional vehicles. The Rubicon Primaris is not intended for second founding chapters. The Rubicon Primaris is for use on genetically enhanced super soldiers over the age of 800 only. You are encouraged to report negative side effects to your company's apothecary. The Rubicon Primaris. Because sometimes plot armor is just not enough.
Man, well, that's a noise to let us know we're back if ever I heard one.
It's a hawk explosion.
It's a hawk explosion, which is what Danny calls like the secondaries that he takes most of the time. But no one cares about us, Danny. We're joined by, yeah, thank you for laughing. Yeah, like come back on and like we'll keep having you back as long as you laugh at my terrible jokes. So
Please laugh.
Yeah, good old Warhammer 40K Jeb Bush himself. We have Kevin, one of our local players here, one of our local Deathwatch players. So introduce yourself. Tell us about you. No pressure, but do it well.
Okay, well, my name's Kevin Mackey. I've started playing Warhammer not too long ago. I got in, I think, at the midpoint of 2018, and from that point on, I just started to, well, I should say I started playing, and then I was kind of really curious what army to play, and asked a couple of friends. The ones that introduced me to the game told me to find an army that seemed really cool. And I started looking at some of the Wikipedia pages because I really had no other like source of information about the game, and decided that that might be a good place to start. Well, anyways, I found this army called Deathwatch, and they just struck me as something super cool.
Now, it's unique that your friends told you to find something interesting, yet you picked Deathwatch. Why do you think that was?
Well, I mean, they were kind of like, well, they are, you know, the super tactical group of space marines that, you know, they don't follow the rules, not even their own. They just go out in the darkness and fight aliens.
The Proud Boys of 40K, indeed.
Wow.
I
I wouldn't call them that, but sure. You know?
A very charged moment right there. Some of you, I mean, a lot of you won't know Kevin by name. The majority of you will recognize 3 of his very specific vehicles. At one of our GT events that we run up here, rest in peace 2020, Battles on Ursa, Kevin found out that he could perfectly balance 3 repulsors on the 3rd level of a ruin. Perfectly legal and within the rules. And his
knight opponent was extremely unhappy.
It was so funny. So
yeah, that was quite the move.
Give us some insight into that move, as we're going to refer to it as the Mackie from here on out, where you bend the rules for hilarity.
Okay, so I'll preface this by saying that that night player, he had eaten my lunch before. And this is it, and also a new player who, before that time, I don't even think really understood some of the rules he had to use. And so watching him just decimate my army time and time again, while I was explaining to him how to do it because he didn't know what his models did, was just, I mean, I died 1,000 deaths. And so here we are.
Like the ultimate nice guy move. You're new, so here's how you beat me, like step by step.
Yeah, exactly. And so we get this deployment, or we get paired up in the tournament there, and you know, he's a nice guy. There's nothing against him, but my heart kind of sank because I was like, oh, this is going to go one of 2 ways. And so I had a realization when I looked at our deployment areas and the terrain that because of the height of the terrain and the fact that the keyword fly existed in the capacity it did with those models on the repulsor executioners, I had like a light bulb go off, and I ran over to the TO and I'm like, come here and take a look at this deployment. I think this is legal. Can I do this? And he goes, yep, you can do that. I said, all right. And so from that moment on, I took a picture because I was so proud of myself for being so strategically minded that I had placed 3 repulsor executioners on top of this building with my Watchmaster smashed in the middle for full rerolls with the Tome of Ectoclades.
I did not see the Watchmaster right in the middle of that
right in the middle there.
He's buried in there, buddy. And so he gives this reroll aura for hits, all failed hits, and then he gives a reroll aura for wound rolls of 1 against specific battlefield types, and obviously I chose Lord of War.
Shocking.
And it just so happened I also got to go first. And so this night player, with nowhere to hide on the board, because the advantage of the height of this terrain gave me unyielding vision, Uh,
Ironically, now a stratagem.
That's a great descriptor. My vision was unyielding.
I could see all. And I proceeded to eliminate night after night after night. And I don't think I left my roost for the entire game.
The fucking bat cave at the top.
You always know it's a good move when you have to call the judge over to confirm before you do it. It's almost like you took like the 6 months of goodwill you took, like helping that player to learn. And you're like, okay, I've banked a lot of goodwill. Let's just fucking get rid of it all right now.
Now it counts.
Cashed it in. Yeah.
But yeah, that little picture you took has shown up in so many places. It's quite, it brings a tear to my eye every time I see it, that our state could produce something so horrific and so beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I told people I will definitely take the blame, but also the credit for that move.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, if you want to know where to look for the person who got rid of the fly keyword on repulsors, Kevin Mackey, he find him on Facebook and yeah, send him all of the hate. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So we're moving on. Usually, Danny does a hot take of Codex when it comes out due to the USPS no longer existing as a functional unit. We didn't receive the books until about a week later almost. So we decided we were going to pull Kevin on here to help us talk about Deathwatch, go over some of the new book, and kind of some of the things that Danny and Kevin have noticed in their time with the book. Kevin gives us a great kind of historical perspective of where Deathwatch was, as well as kind of what he's excited for. And Danny, of course, the original trademarked hot takes coming from him for this right here. So, I mean, I guess like we should start before this new book. How did Deathwatch play? Like, what makes Deathwatch like a different army from, say, like just regular Space Marines for maybe someone like me who knows nothing?
Well, my experience with Deathwatch is with 8th edition only. And in that edition, Deathwatch was probably, well, I'm not going to say probably, they were the most premier army to take against hordes because of the special issue ammunition. The wide-ranging equipment choices that were able to utilize special issue ammo was also pretty impressive. And so it was a gun line that if you built your kill teams properly, it functioned like a better version of Ultramarines. There was some limitations, of course, with wound rerolls because of the limited access to wound rerolls because of no lieutenants. And because of that, you had to kind of be a little more strategic about what units you were shooting at. But the fact that you could wound almost everything in the game on a 2-up and reroll that 1, especially when you were hitting on a 3-up and re-rolling the failed 1s and 2s, it was just amazing how you would just leaf blower entire armies off the board in 1 turn of shooting.
I do remember being like super frustrated playing against Deathwatch because it seemed to be like no matter what I took, there was some kind of weird BS answer for it, either in like a stratagem or through special issue ammo or through some other things that was happening there. Danny, like, what were some of the tools that they were bringing that was just making them so, like, all-purpose, I guess, would be the way to go?
Well, I mean, they obviously special issue ammunition really lets you customize your bolter shots to deal with the type of the foe that you need to at any one given time, which is really nice. And so using that, and a lot of weapons that fired many shots, like storm bolters, for instance, or bolt rifles, or a bunch of other different kinds of things. They can really put a lot of pain. The other thing that Deathwatch were kind of known for were their kill teams. So they could take a mixed squad of like Primaris Marines or Firstborn Marines, which gave the squad some extra abilities, intrinsic within the rules of the squad. Like if you had an Inceptor, you could fall back and still shoot, that kind of stuff. So that was kind of another one of their pretty big strengths, because they could really like make a super beefy squad of like aggressors or other troops that like Hellblasters for some ablative wounds and things like that they could take. So that's kind of one of their signature moves, were those kill teams specifically.
And then even taking myself off of mute and repeating myself now, but going into ninth with the design philosophy change Marines, that all Marines are now supplements. So all of the special chapters like your Blood Angels, your Dark Angels, your Deathwatch are all supplements to the main book. One, it opens a lot more options. And, two, I mean, you still have those special things that make your army special. Kevin, what are some of the changes that you've seen, because we've had the book for a couple of weeks now, that you're most excited for with this Deathwatch book?
Well, man, there's actually a couple different changes I'm excited for. I guess specifically, I'll start with access to more units was huge, because in 8th, you had very limited equipment options, unit options. And so you really had to, like Danny was pointing out, make use of the options that were available to you through the kill teams that you built with having the ability to fall back and shoot, like if they had fly, and with aggressors letting you advance and fire without penalty. Well, now, man, I couldn't take a whirlwind in the 8th edition, and I can take one now. Devastator Centurions, right? That was a thing that I dreamed about having, and now it's like, yeah, take it. So there's a lot of just units that are available to me that I almost have a hard time deciding which ones are the good ones to take right now.
Yeah, for sure. And then Danny, what do you see kind of from the changes from the 8th edition Deathwatch Codex to this new 9th edition supplement?
Well, it kind of follows along their similar design philosophy, where they're removing like special rules from units a lot and then adding them as stratagems. So they cost resources to utilize, and units are a little bit more vanilla. Kind of like actual kill team abilities are now boiled down into like 1 CP stratagems for the most part that you can still utilize.
Awesome. Yeah. And just Danny broke up a little bit there. It's kind of following the design trend of special rules being removed from the data sheet and being added on as stratagems. And that's a really interesting thing to see. We saw it with smoke launchers, and we're seeing it more and more now with the kill teams. Do you guys think, and I'm going to leave this open here, that there's a big change in how Deathwatch plays? Like, are you guys looking at Deathwatch armies as being very different from their 8th edition counterparts, or is it still kind of like a real similar feeling situation?
Go ahead, Kev.
Well, I would say that the overall playstyle of Deathwatch has changed significantly, especially with the changes to 9th being more focused on holding and taking objectives. I guess Danny and I were actually talking about this earlier tonight, because in the past, when I went to go build a list, I would just basically see what was the best shooting units available to me, because that's all that mattered, was I just had to shoot. And now I'm realizing that I have to be able to shoot, yes, but I also must be able to take objectives and stay on them. So that part of building the list and figuring out what units are going to be best to take has definitely shifted Deathwatch from being what they were in 8th to being something different in 9th, and especially with their changes to the chapter tactics. Now they get to reroll ones in melee against all the Xenos armies, which is huge. An army-wide rule where getting into combat is now preferable, as opposed to in the past where you kind of want to play the don't touch me game.
I mean, that's a game we always want to play. Abstinence is the number one priority here. But for sure.
And the number one way to prevent teenage pregnancy.
That's right. Yeah, we're very big anti-choice on this podcast. No, but yeah, no, so there's a lot of things that kind of go into that there, and kind of a lot more options. And like I said, I think especially being rolled into the main Marine book, where you do have all of these new tools to play with, who are some of the big winners in your guys' eyes for Deathwatch now that you have access to the whole toy chest pretty much? And I mean, Danny, we're going to start with you. Who are some big winners for Deathwatch?
Oh man, that's a really great question.
It is. I'm very good at this. It's my humility.
Never mind. I take back everything nice I said before. Let's see. So I think, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're good.
I think the changes to the way that kill teams work now that there's 4 different types of kill teams and they separated out like the different classes of Astartes armor into basically their own kill team. I think that those units that can do that are really big winners because of the tactical versatility it gives you. Like I think, for instance, the Eliminators plus like Infiltrator kill team, the Spectrus one is really good, especially if you have the Infiltrator with the Helix Gauntlet, so they get to ignore the first failed save every turn. And on a unit of 4 Eliminators seems like pretty darn good. And then I also like Kevin played this. We proxied the heavy intercessors, but he brought the 5 Eradicators, 5 heavy intercessors squad, and that squad is gross.
And is that just because you have some ablative wounds there for the Eradicator or the flame or the Melta boys, right? That's kind of what makes it extra gross.
Well, and they can just straight up deep strike.
Oh, yeah, that is extra gross.
Which is super good.
Yeah, we talked about the points cost too with their weapon loadout. The Executor heavy bolter might be murdering that.
Yeah, it's their the Stalker bolt rifle.
Yeah,
it's like the Executor bolt rifle or something.
Yeah, the Executor. It's strength 5, 2 damage, and it's on a model that's T5 and 3 wounds.
So gross. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. What about you, Kevin? What are some of the big winners for you for Deathwatch, and what are you excited to play? And why is it Outriders?
For me, the big wins, some of the character choices, just first off, you were basically relegated to having like a captain and a watchmaster. That was like the only 2 real worthwhile choices. And now there's the Xeno Purge discipline, and it is awesome. There are so many cool things you can do because now librarians are worth taking. The chaplain being able to have litanies that, well, affect the deep strikers is another huge boost, especially now that he comes on a motorcycle and he's like extra angry and fast and tough. Those would be my first 2, like immediate, wow, these are a huge boost to the army overall. But I gotta say, I think Outriders are my go-to. First off, just hands down, best addition to the kill teams is those bikey boys.
Like literally the only way to have more than 3 bikes in a squad is through this Deathwatch where you add like 5 of the Outrider bikers to your kill team and then combat squad them away, and then they maintain the infantry keyword so they can Kool-Aid man through walls. Their objective secured, I believe, as well. Just a whole bunch of really neat things you can do with those bikes, which are just stupidly fast. You mentioned litanies and psychic powers, a couple things like that. What from the kind of the really great crunch stuff that only Deathwatch get are you guys excited about? So like the stratagems, the psychic powers, all those kind of things, like the litanies, the traits. Kevin, what are some things that have got you, or what is on par excitement level for you as putting 3 repulsors on top of a ruin?
Well, right now it's got to be access to these warlord traits that previously were not so hot, but now are just Paragon of their chapter is the second on the list of warlord traits, and I think that is one of the most powerful warlord traits you can have because it opens access to the basic Space Marine warlord traits. And so, of course, one of the first warlord traits that comes to mind is the Salamanders +2 strength. And so, excuse me. And so being able to just immediately give a character +2 strength, or go to, say, like the Flesh Terrors and give them, what was theirs? Now I'm getting confused with chapter tactics. But anyways, the warlord traits are huge for Deathwatch.
Danny, was there any specific warlord traits apart from Paragon of the chapter that really stood out to you for Deathwatch as being like chef's kiss level?
Castellan of the Black Vault's pretty good because it gives you like a free relic, which can be in addition to another relic. So you can do some cool shit with that. I like that. I think that's a pretty fun one. I really like the there's some really cool relics as well. I really like the what is the Dominus Aegis, which is a Storm Shield replacement, and it gives you a +1 to your armor save, but then also an aura of 5+ invul.
Oh yeah, that's
models.
Real good. And so it's models and not unit for
just
that, right?
Units.
Or
No,
units?
it's units. It's
Oh,
units.
so that
That's
is
even
like
better.
super good. So I think it's like a 6-inch bubble of 5 up, right? So like when you combine that with your kill team of your heavy intercessors and your eradicators, like having those guys have that field, it makes it super durable in an already gross unit.
Sure. And it's core units as well, so you could use it on like dreadnoughts.
Oh, yeah, nothing. I mean, unkillable dreadnoughts are the hallmark of Warhammer and what it should be. That's something relic-wise that Danny really likes. Kevin, is there any relics that are standing out to you as being like, wow, must-takes?
For one, the Beacon Angelus. That has been a holdout since I first discovered what it could do for Deathwatch. I don't think I've had a game where I didn't take it. It gives you the ability to, at the end of one of your movement phases, if you have anyone that didn't arrive as reinforcements or they were already on the tabletop, you could pick them up and place them next to the model that's bearing the beacon, as long as they're 9 inches away from enemy models, and I think wholly within 6 of the bearer. You can just pick up bikers, infantry, and just plop them all the way across the board. And it works especially well when you deep strike a unit that has that relic, and then bring something that's been hiding in the backfield over to wherever you want them. So it gives you a lot of strategic play there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's super cool.
There's a lot. There's so many things you can do with that relic.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned the chaplain with the litanies as well. Did Deathwatch get special litanies for that too?
No. But
they sure don't.
The fact that they have the chaplain on bike and some of the Space Marine stratagems that allow you to use basically pass a litany later in the game beyond the command phase is a huge bonus to Deathwatch, because it allows you to, like, for instance, deep strike a chaplain and then go, oh, I'm going to pay for this to go off so that I can have Mantra of Strength happen, or Canticle of Hate, so you can just get that deep strike charge at 7 inches.
Now, something you did mention before, even then, as I kind of distractedly tried to mention litanies, psychic powers. Deathwatch have their own little psychic power tree now, right?
Yes.
And
I'm trying to
there's some
find
really great powers on that.
And there's some pretty good ones in there.
So premorphic.
I was going to say, which feel free to tell me about, because my knowledge level is absolutely John standard right now on this.
Yeah. One of the ones that stood out to me first off was this premorphic resonance. Basically, any Overwatch attacks that you make with a unit, they score hits on a 5 up. It's a blessing, so it's not one of the other ones. Just, malediction. I think that's what they call them.
Oh yeah,
so
but
those are like debuffs on people.
As long as we don't go back to the evils of 6th edition, where like it was like the 15 different categories of psychic powers.
Right. But I mean, specific to this premorphic resonance, it allows you to shoot Overwatch on a 5 up. If you start the fight phase in engagement range, it can fight first. At each time a melee attack is made, add 1 to the attack's hit rolls. So it's definitely a good, supercharge for any kind of advancing or assaulting units.
And it seems to like partner really well with the trait where like you're rerolling hits of 1 against Xenos too, like depending on army, obviously. What other psychic powers are kind of like super standouty for Deathwatch?
Fortified with Contempt is really great. It's a 5 up feel no pain, which to just be able to put on a unit is super good, especially like Gravis armored like intercessors would be great target for that.
I mean, that gives you like such a great range if you have the fact to give like this invulnerable up as well from your dude. So you have like your 5-up heavy intercessors, and then you can give them a feel no pain too. Like the durability you can give these guys is just crazy.
It's really cool.
What about stratagems? Every Marine book famous for giving more stratagems. What are some stratagems that you're excited to get from this book here?
They removed special issue ammo from the intercessors of High Paris.
Hooray! Sorry, this is a Deathwatch review.
Sorry,
I get
Deathwatch players.
There's definitely some salt I've harvested over the last couple of years with, auto bolt rifles firing just massive amounts of hellfire. But one of the things they changed is special issue loadout. It's an ability or it's a stratagem for 2 CP. You select a Deathwatch infantry unit to shoot, and it changes the ammunition ability and their type characteristic to heavy 1. So they gain special issue ammo. They only get 1 shot. So on certain weapons like stalker bolt rifles, it's perfect take because you're not really losing much. But now you have a chance to +1 to your wound roll, or get that sweet vengeance round +1 to damage, and that is just the chef kiss.
Oh man, you did the real sound too. That's how good it was.
I felt it through the mic.
And then Danny, was there any strats that stood out for you from the Deathwatch supplement where you're like, wow? No was okay.
Fuck Deathwatch.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that was my take on it too. Glad we're aligned.
No, I really like Brotherhood of Veterans. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select a Deathwatch unit from your army, and then select 1 chapter tactic or successor tactic. Until the end of the turn, models in that unit have that chapter tactic or successor tactic instead of the Xeno Hunters one. So you can just pay 2 CP, and for a turn, you can be like, that's cool. My guys are Dark Angels now.
So what I really like this is...
Or whatever, right?
Like for me, the way Deathwatch is to me, where you have like a bunch of different chapters come together to form one giant unit. Reading the stratagem, it reads like one guy in the unit is like, no, guys. So we can move and advance, and we can still charge. Let me show you how to do it. And then it gets in there, or, whatever a Blood Angels chapter tactic is, or Imperial Fists are like, look, there's a building, aim there. It's really fluffy. It works really well, and it's like a super good tactic to throw in there. And a really good 2 CP strat is, some of those Marine ones are really good. So for 2 CP, to specialize even more is amazing. Kevin, you mentioned earlier, you now have access to the full Marine book, which gives you new units that you might not have had before, but also gives you access to new stratagems that weren't necessarily there. Is there anything from the Marine book that you're like, wow, I'm super glad I can get this as Deathwatch now?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Danny and I were also discussing that earlier. Just
you bastards producing content without me.
Just kind of being paralyzed by choice. I mean, shoot, I can take lieutenants now. So, wow, if I really want to work on re-rolling wounds to anything, I can do that. I think the biggest take for me out of this book would be the Vanguard units. So like the Incursors, the Infiltrators, and the Phobos line of models is just a huge bonus. Being able to have all that sneakiness that I always thought Deathwatch should have, because they paint their armor black so you don't see them as well. But here
that was actually, according to Beast Arises, sorry to be a fluff nerd here, but that was entirely like accidental, and they all didn't mean to paint their armor black and leave 1 silver sleeve. They all just did that on their own, and then came together like, oh, you guys painted the majority of your armor black too? But this isn't issues I have with the Beast Arises podcast. This is talking about Deathwatch here.
One of us is definitely going to have to change.
So embarrassing. You guys left your metal arm metal too, even though like ceramite is, I assume, white. Yeah. Anyway, Danny, is there anything from the Marine book that you think, wow, why can Deathwatch have that? That's not fair.
No.
Awesome. I really
To
got to
be
start like
honest,
the
I think
Jeopardy
it's
theme.
all fine.
Going to that there.
What is no?
What is no?
So how has your army list construction changed since this book came out here, Kevin? So like before, like where like you had the, and I hate to say standard Marine gun line, but almost like a play on that, right? But since this book's come out now and you have the paralyzing ability of choice, where is your Deathwatch army going now?
Melee centric. I want to make sure that I really kind of flesh out my abilities in combat better than I have before. So I'm really focusing on units that have multiple attacks and will hopefully pull off what I need them to pull off in combat so that I can, take and hold objectives. But yeah, higher toughness, more attacks, not so much really worried about shooting right now, but that versatility of just being able to fall back and charge or blender something in my way. That's kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah, and then Danny, you played Deathwatch a little in 8th. How do you see them changing in 9th?
Well, I think like Kevin said, I think this edition is definitely, I've heard this from other people as well. I mean, you have to be able to deal with people in the middle of the table. So whether that's, extremely effective close range shooting or close combat, however you're going to do that, like you have to be able to take people off objectives and then stick around on them. Whether it's just annoying to kill a bunch of units that are on one objective or like you have extremely tough units. I mean, that's just like, it's however your army plays, right? And so Deathwatch excel in having extremely hard hitting units. So what I can see is them like shooting enough shots to take a unit off of an objective and then charging into to another objective to actually remove another unit in combat. Because like they're going to have to make some like 2-for-1 trades in their unit with their units. Otherwise they're just going to get overrun. Because I mean, there's just, there's their Marines. There's still not that many of them.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add about Deathwatch before we wrap this up here? Kevin, I'll start with you. I guess it works better when I specifically say one person.
No, I look forward to actually getting a few more games in with the newer rules. I played a few games of 9th, but with the old 8th rules, and it felt like such a different game when I finally played them with this new supplement. It felt like such a different army that I'm really excited to actually kind of flesh out some of these ideas on the tabletop and see what they'll do.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm real excited when you say you're going melee focused because I am excited to run 100 bloodletters at you, and then we'll see where it goes from there. Danny, what else do you want to add about Deathwatch?
I think they're a great army. I think they're probably they're easily the most versatile Marine codex. Like they just have so many different options and so many different ways to play. Like there's even stuff we didn't necessarily cover, like them being able to buy a roll that lets them reroll potentially all failed wounds against like troop units and things like that. It's just a lot of different ways that you can play them that are extremely powerful. And you have a lot of choices on how you equip your units, more than any other Space Marine book. And in addition to that, another thing we didn't talk about is the order in which their like super doctrine ability is to just use whatever combat doctrine they want during any given battle round. It just has to be you can only use like Devastator once, Assault Doctrine twice, or I'm sorry, Tactical Doctrine twice, and the Assault Doctrine 3 times. So they get like first turn Assault Doctrine if you want, or like when Eradicators come down, they can use Assault Doctrine then, like either turn 2 or turn 3. Or Tactical Doctrine, or however you want to do it. So super cool. Lots of to play, lots of unit choices. They're just overall very versatile and very good.
I think the great thing about Deathwatch for me is the versatility, right? So you can really build your list. Like look at that secondary list in your GT pack. Look at the secondaries that you're given as part of that Deathwatch supplement. And you can design your army to maximize those points. And more than any other Marine list, Where like what Kevin was really excited about putting like outriders in a squad and having these objective secured outriders that can Kool-Aid man through walls again, and like different things like that is definitely things you can do. But it's definitely something where it's an army where you need a definite plan of how you want to play before you construct an army list, because Deathwatch, more than any other army, have so many choices. Like if you want intercessors, great, that's awesome, we can do that. Also, did you maybe want to throw some other different kind of units in there? You're like, well, it doesn't make sense, right? But you have all of these options and all of these great things to do and all of these tactical plays. Like it's such a nuanced army that just, yeah, the danger is going to be like, oh God, I'm paralyzed with choice now. But I think the end time, like, so yeah, you have access to the whole Space Marine book, but I still think your core is still those great kill team options, where you have so many great options from the different kinds of kill teams. But really kind of pulling it back to your secondaries and being like, well, how do I score? How does this list win? Which is like the number one question that we always ask of the list is, how do I win with this list? And Deathwatch have so many ways to do it. You just got to make sure that you're not splitting hairs and kind of going like way too many different directions, which is like super easy to do.
For sure.
For sure. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on. We'll definitely have you back in the future for something like less serious and probably more fun. But we're going to take a quick break. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go.
Do you want to maybe, how about Kevin? Why don't we have Kevin stick around and we can talk about our game after this next commercial break?
Oh, yeah. What a great choice. Yeah, there. I'll have Kevin. I'm going to take a break. And we're going to go a little behind the microphone here. Kevin, you're going to hear the ad, but I'm going to mute you so you can't talk. But then when I talk again, everything's going to be Gucci and good to go, as my people at work tell me is a cool word to say. But yeah, thank you, Danny, for mentioning that. I'm going to play a quick ad here, and then we will be, well, not so much a quick ad, but an ad.
Dude, I'm the best. I took first place at another tournament.
First off, stop with the thunder and lightning. You don't impress me. And second, let me check out the BCP rankings. And I don't see you on there.
What?
Your TO needs to download the Best Coast Pairings app and run events on it. After the event, the results are uploaded into BCP rankings, and the best part, it's easy and free.
But I play multiple game systems.
No big deal. The BCP app can be used for any game. A ton of events every weekend are using it, from major international tournaments to local stores. And now that it's available on Android devices, you're going to have some serious competition.
There can be only one.
BCP Rankings is a fun and exciting way to measure how you or your team stack up. No matter what you play, your score goes to an overall ranking, or compete to be the best in a game, a circuit, a region, or the world.
Download the app or visit www.bestcoastpairings.com for more info.
Best Coast Pairings.
Are you the best?
Okay, one thing that really bugs me about that app is there is an overdub in there that makes literally no sense. Why they would dub over a line. And it bugs me every time. Like, all of you guys who listen who hate the whistling ad, the BCP ad is that for me because of like 3 words that are dubbed and added in after the original was recorded. Anyway, Danny and Kevin played a game today. Danny brought his Necrons, as he is will to do, after talking about them for 60 hours in the past 4 days. And Kevin brought new Deathwatch. So why don't you guys go ahead and talk about that game?
Go ahead,
So
Danny.
Kevin, okay, sure. I'll talk about my list first. Let's see here. So I played a double patrol plus Supreme Command detachment, wherein I took the Silent King as my warlord, and then I took 2 patrols that are Nihilak. So I took 1 patrol had a Chronomancer, 10 Death Marks, 10 Immortals with Gauss Blasters, 10 Triarch Praetorians, and 9 Scarab Swarms. And then I had another patrol with a Technomancer with a Canoptic Control node, 10 more Immortals with Gauss Blasters, a unit of 9 Scarabs, a unit of 4 Scarabs, and 2 Canoptic Doomstalkers. So it's got a goodly amount of core to get benefits from the rerolls from the Silent King. It's got some cool tricks with the Death Marks. I think they're a really cool unit, especially when you can make them objective secured with Nihilak. They have some really interesting options for for scoring points by doing actions, because Nihilak can pay a command point and still shoot afterwards, which is nice, especially since I don't have a lot of different units. Like, it's not MSU or anything. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good list. It's got some decent shooting. It's got the Silent King. He's kind of like my melee deterrent because nobody wants to fight him.
I sort of want to fight him.
Yeah. Red. Well, you'll get your wish.
Excited to see multiple giant monsters die to one dude on a stone.
Well, your monsters aren't real, and he's going to tell them that they're not.
Oh, the old Fabius Bile method. Yeah.
Yeah. It's worked. It's worked for a lot of different people. So Kevin, what about your list? Why don't you tell us about it?
So my list was 2,000 points in a single battalion. I had captain with a jump pack, a relic blade, and storm shield, because that's now a legal build, which is cool because I built that illegally in 8th.
And then suck at opponents who didn't catch that.
Oh no, they did. His name was Taylor Pearson, and he immediately said, "That doesn't count. You can't do that." And I said, "Oh God, what have I done?"
So I
really feel bad when I make a mistake like that.
The way to counter that is just scream at Taylor. Just be like, "Ah," and he'll back down.
Got him.
Next time I'll do that. But the rest of the HQ units, I brought the Primaris Chaplain on bike because he's just an awesome model, and I could not wait to get him on the table. And then, of course, the Watchmaster. I gave the Watchmaster the Beacon Angelus, also made him the Warlord, and I gave him the Nowhere to Hide Warlord trait, so that the command phase, he gets to just pick a unit on the table and say, "You don't get the benefit of cover." And then every unit that's, I think, core, that's within 6 inches, whenever they shoot, that unit doesn't get a saving throw, or doesn't get to add cover to the part of their saves. The Chaplain on bike, I made him the Master of Sanctity because you gotta, and I gave him the Benediction of Fury. The other thing I did too is I spent command point to give him Hero of the Chapter, used Paragon of their chapter, and then gave him Anvil of Strength from the Salamanders list. So he was pretty much supercharged for slapping people around. Then I had 2 Fortis kill teams, 5 Intercessors, 5 Outriders in each. The only difference between the two was one of them was equipped with Stalker bolt rifles on every Intercessor, and the other one was just your basic bolt rifle Intercessors. I had the Indomitor kill team with 5 Eradicators with a Melter rifle, and then 5 Heavy Intercessors with the Executor bolt rifle. I had a regular squad of Intercessors with 6 of those bad dogs running around with auto bolt rifles, and the Sergeant, thanks to the new points update, I was able to fit this in, but the Sergeant got a Power Fist, which was super cool. Nice. And then the last troop choice I took was a Spectrus kill team with 5 Incursors and 5 Infiltrators. My elite choice, I had a Primaris Apothecary, who I boosted into Chief Apothecary status, and I brought a Whirlwind for the heavy support with a Vengeance Launcher.
Nice.
So what mission did you guys play?
So we played mission 32 of the Grand Tournament packet, Sweep and Clear.
God, I hate that
so
mission.
This is kind of a... Really? Have we played this one before?
I think we've played that one 2 or 3 times. I'm pretty sure it keeps landing on that one. So I think I just have like negative views of it. But go. I'm sure you guys' game was great and Danny wasn't an asshole.
So it was... nope, not this time. So it's table quarters. So for deployment with a 9-inch bubble in the center. And it has 5 objectives. They're all 12 inches and 15 inches from the long and short edges, respectively, and then 1 objective in the center. So it's a 5 objective mission. It's a hold 1, hold 2, hold more. So taking holds for the primary. And then it has assaults secondary.
Yeah.
Where basically 5.
Nice. And then, so with that in mind, Kevin, what secondaries did you choose to take?
Well, I went with Engage on All Fronts. I took
Classic.
Suffer Not the Alien, which is the Deathwatch specific. It gives you a point at the end of the game, I believe. 1 point for every Eldari, Orc, Tyrannid, or Necron, whatever the Xeno army you're facing. You get a point for every unit you killed by a Deathwatch unit in your army. And then I took Raise the Banners High. I kind of struggled on my third one. I kind of went over with Danny what some of the good options were. And, Danny being a nice guy was like, why don't you take this one? So
You give him secondary advice when the advice you gave me was just, okay.
I wanted to pick good ones.
That's fair. And then, so Danny, with coming up against this like very fast Deathwatch army and kind of what you were running there, what secondaries did you take?
So I took Direct Assault, which is the mission specific secondary. So get in the middle or get on your opponents. I picked Domination. So the one that we talked about in the secondary review that we did last time.
Mhm.
I just felt like I had superior scoring capacity over Kevin's army because my stuff is a little bit faster and all of it's OBSEC. So as long as I could get enough like scarabs or other stuff onto the objectives, then I could easily, kind of hold them. And then I took Ancient Machineries. So this is the Necron specific one where you do an action with a Canoptic or core unit on any one of the, and basically for this one, it was all 3 objectives in the middle of the table. So I knew that I could get some good points, especially if I did this a couple of times, or I was able to kind of push him off of the center and then also keep one of the secondary or one of the center of the board objectives kind of out of his control.
Okay. So with those in mind, how did the game go for you guys? As I mute myself and let you guys discuss what happened here.
So what happened was Kevin won the role. I was the defender, so I did deploy first. We alternated deploying. Kevin did a pretty good job on deployment of making sure that his guys were hidden behind kind of the central ruin and other ruins. So I didn't have a lot of good opportunity shots if I would have gone first. However, Kevin did win the role to see who would go first and elected to go first anyway. And so Kevin went to, why don't you tell people about your first turn, Kevin?
Okay. So yeah, during deployment, I put a couple things into, I guess during the reserves part, I put them into reserves, but I deployed my outriders after combat squatting them. I deployed them kind of forward closer to the center of the board. And I had my Smash Captain in there with his Relic Blade and the Storm Shield, and next to him was the Chaplain. And so by the time I was done moving, I was just an inch outside of your line of scarabs there. And at that point, what was it? I got the Canonical of Hate to go off, so I had the extra +2 to charge. But other than that, there wasn't really much else in the way of moving other than my Spectrus kill team that I had done their concealed positions deployment over on another objective. I kind of positioned them for some shooting, but the rest kind of stayed static. And I decided to charge the Scarab Wall with the bikers.
Oh, I made that mistake. Not with bikers, but with other things.
Yeah, and well, I should say the other group of outriders I had, I turbocharged them, or whatever the advanced call, whatever you call the advanced. I ran them 20 inches over to the other quarter of the board to help me score my first point of the game, engage on all fronts, and also to get me close to that objective because I knew Danny was going to have to move towards it. So I was trying to be a little preemptive on how I could counter that. But charges went off great.
I will say, just to preface this before you keep going, my Plague Marine Blight Grenade Bomb has killed every single unit I've pointed it at, bar none.
Ooh.
Bar none. It's wiped out Knights, Rubric Marines. It's everything I pointed at has died, apart from one squad of Scarabs. How was your experience with 9 Scarabs, Kevin?
Well, I got into combat with them. Like I said, the charge went off because I was like an inch away, and I think So +2 to my charge, baby. I was there. But decided to spend the command point that allows me to add an extra attack to the unit in melee with Xeno's army. So I think we figured out they would do, if I maxed everything out, they could do 35 wounds, which would be just one shy of killing the entire squad of scarabs.
I mean, it's a good thing he doesn't have some bullshit rule like reanimation protocol where he gets to roll like 24 dice and bring random stuff back.
Yeah, and they heal themselves like 1 wound a turn too, so that's cool. But
thank God they're not OBSEC. Oh wait.
Well, they got in there, they did their job, but I decided to go a little ham on it, charging in my my Smash Captain. I think I went after your warriors. And
the Immortals, unit of
the Immortals. And so, I knew that Overwatch was a thing, and I figured Danny would do it, but I really hadn't contemplated the horrible decision that I had made about trying to charge them, especially when they were next to the Doomstalker.
Oh, yeah, I fell for that too. Hey, guys, pro tips here. Don't charge things beside a Doomstalker.
So I kind of had my army set up so that almost everything was within 6 inches of a Doomstalker. So I figured on first turn, if Kevin went ham, that I would get to at least watch both of them at least once. So, and I had the protocol up that lets you choose to set to defend. So they could all set to defend in Overwatch on 5s, and the Immortals were close to the Silent King, so they could reroll misses as well.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds very fun.
It was.
I really got to watch my Salt with Necrons. Jesus Christ, I'm going like way too over the top with this.
No, he immediately just took my captain and, yeeted him off the board because that's what they do.
I didn't even get to shoot the Doomstalker. The Immortals did it.
Oh,
just
poor baby.
Oh, yeah. So that cool captain guy I brought did absolutely nothing.
That's not true. He died like a bitch to Overwatch.
No, I guess he did die, but he looked really cool when he died too. I mean, if that counts for anything.
It really does.
But I made one mistake with forgetting to raise the banners, and Danny was a total gentleman. Let me kind of go back on that one. So I was able to raise the banners on the one objective I held. I advanced my 6 dudes, my 6 intercessors with the auto bolt rifles. I advanced them through the ruins to the center board to try and get on that objective. So I kind of placed myself early on to start holding some of these objectives in the board that I needed to be on, and did some damage to the scarabs, got some kills, and then Danny got to swing back. So if you want to take it away from there.
Sure. So I lost. I ended up losing 6 scarabs from Kevin's attacks. And then I rolled. I feel like relatively poorly, but it was fine. It was whatever. And I only brought reanimated 1 scarab swarm exactly. So I only rolled 4 or 5 pluses out of 24 dice. And then everything else, I did, there was a couple of chip wounds, and I lost 1 scarab base on the other flank, which is not a big deal. So I passed my morale tests. And then on my turn, I flew out of combat with the scarabs, and both the units of Immortals just kind of walked up and were ready to rumble. I had my unit of 10 Triarch Praetorians. They were close to the Silent King, so they got +1 move. So they were able to get into a pretty good position to be able to assault the Spectrus kill team, the 5 Infiltrators, 5 Incursors. And I flew the scarabs that had fallen back from combat over to hang out with them and kind of block them if units came in to try and assault. The Silent King kind of moved up so he could still shoot at bikers, but also he could potentially shoot at the squad inside of the building if he wanted to. And I moved another unit of scarabs up to another objective and was able to move them onto it without advancing. So they got they started doing an Ancient Machineries objective. And man, I got to shoot, and it was really dumb. I used both the different Necron shooting stratagems, the disintegration capacitors, and I forgot the other one. The 6 is to hit or an extra hit. I forgot what the name of it is.
The bullshit brigade.
Yeah, it was bullshit. And 20 immortals that get full rerolls to hit can kill a lot of bikers. It's like 20 shots. I was getting some extra wounds in, that kind of stuff. So they did very very well. So I managed to kill the bikers down to 1 biker left, and then he died from, I think the Silent King just killed him. And I was able to kill the other biker unit down to 1 biker, who then failed his morale check and died. The Silent King assaulted the middle of the table and killed the the intercessors that were in the middle, and the Praetorians charged in and killed between shooting and combat, were able to kill the entire Spectrus kill team as well.
Oof.
So it was pretty bad. I was on all the objectives at the start of my turn. And yeah, Silent King was holding the middle of the table. It was a pretty brutal turn for the Deathwatch for sure. How did that feel, Kevin? Sorry.
Yeah, how did that feel? How did that feel when I did that to you?
Well, I don't know. I guess, you know, that THX, like that sound that just creeps up and gets louder and louder until your walls are shaking.
That was your impending doom.
Like, high flies back. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of what happened when the Necrons were just like walking towards me, getting louder and angrier, and everything just disappeared in front of them. And I sat back and just kind of my way through that turn, because gotta say it felt good to see Necrons with some of their new rules and abilities just be able to kind of pull off the shooting they did. But it also felt like shit to watch my awesomely built Fortis kill teams just disintegrate in front of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at it, like, you were real excited about like parts of the Deathwatch coming in. I guess how did you respond? I guess like during your turn was where we'll start with that.
Well, I guess I forgot to mention as well, I left my chaplain wide open when all this occurred, and Danny just erased the one group of outriders with the mortals. The chaplain was just wide open, and I think your Doomstalker was just.
Yeah.
I think
if a job's worth doing, it's worth overkilling.
He just kind of stared at the chaplain until his head exploded, and then I pulled him off the table, and that was kind of how that went. So at that point, my only recourse was to bring in the bad boy heavy intercessors with their eradicator friends, plop them down, knowing full well that the death marks. Knowing full well they're going to be shot at by the death marks. But I used the beacon with the Watchmaster to beacon over my Primaris Apothecary, and I was able to get him close enough to give everyone in that aura of that 6-up feel no pain.
Man, that's a real pro play. I mean, that's a real good use of that. Like, I don't think like a lot of people assume like taking like a single character because they want to maximize like what they're moving and moving around, but like just taking that like one apothecary. Okay, shit, these guys are going to need backup. And just like the magic showing up, like, okay, what do I need? Where do I put the band-aids?
They needed the drug dealer to come slam them full of the good stuff because they immediately got shot at. But by the time we were done with it, it was pretty impressive watching some of the saves I made. I think Danny did 1 wound when we were all said and done.
Yeah, so I did 5 wounds, right?
Right.
So that killed 1 guy and took another guy down to 2. And then the apothecary healed that guy a wound because Kevin didn't roll super good. And then he brought back another one at full health.
Now, were you as frustrated with Kevin as you were at me when I took your shit down to 1 wound through my rolling?
No, it was fine. I deserved it.
But yeah, that group came in. I actually spent a CP to give them that special issue ammo for the turn on the Executor bolt rifles. And because of the wording, the Eradicators can still double shoot if they choose the same target, but the entire unit has to shoot at the same target. So I just decided, you know what? I'm tired of this big angry Necron standing there. Let's take some wounds off of it. And I put everything into the Silent King. And then the flying boom boxes, you know, the big speakers, whatever you want to call them, that were flying along with them, just kind of intercepted.
Men hears.
But did you
Yeah,
at least
they did a good
kill?
job.
Did you at least kill the menhirs?
So
Sorry.
this may come as a surprise, but I never
Techno
killed a
menhirs.
single unit throughout the entire game.
I have played Danny many times now. That does not surprise me. Absolutely not. So the game didn't necessarily go your way with your new Deathwatch. Bearing in mind that Danny has lived, breathed 8 Necrons for the past couple of months and spent 37 hours talking about Necrons in the past day and a half. What did you see from your list that you liked? What changes are you going to be making? Because one thing I really appreciate about playing with Danny is he's very open at the end of the game to letting you know how you suck and what you can do to change.
Yeah, he is very nice at, basically informing you to bite the pillow because he's going in dry. But I mean, if he wasn't such a gentleman.
Oh, it's never dry.
If he wasn't such a gentleman, you'd go, it's not so bad. It kind of hurts. But when we were done, we had a good chat about
it if you just leave it in there.
Just relax. All you gotta do is just relax. Breathe out.
Just relax, man. Yeah.
But we talked about some ideas. I really, really enjoyed what the Outriders did. They did their job. Like I said earlier, they everything did its job well. I just played horribly. And so one of the changes I'd like to make, I think, is dropping the Watchmaster and swapping him out for a Librarian. Because as we mentioned earlier, some of the Librarian powers are pretty clutch. I think being able to give a unit that 5-up Feel No Pain is going to come in very handy. And I think what I'm going to do with the Smash Captain is go for a Dominus Aegis type running blob, if you will, so that I'll have this group that just runs up and sits on center with a 5-up Invuln, beacon over the Apothecary. Everything's getting that 6-up Feel No Pain. Bring in the Librarian so that I can maybe give some units either a way to not be shot at using like Mantle of Shadow, which is one of their powers. It's really good, I think, for using it on people, units that do like actions, but also having a way to give them the Fortified with Contempt is going to go, I think, a lot farther for the longevity I need in order to hold those objectives. So those would be the first changes I'll make on the next list.
Sure.
Absolutely. Danny, you have anything else you want to add? You dream crusher, you.
No, it was super fun. I'm really glad that I got to play a game with Kevin. It's always a good time to play Kevin. He's such a good sport, and like he always asks good questions afterwards, which is super awesome. Like I think that the amount of progress as a player that he's shown just in the last like year is like incredible, because I didn't really think that it could get like more from like last year to this year, but it's been like even bigger growth. So he's been doing really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
man. Deathwatch are really cool. I think that just like with a couple of little tweaks and like maybe not being quite as aggressive as he was on the first turn.
But that's no
I
fun.
think that, yeah. Agree. I mean, it's not as fun. You're 100% correct, John. But I think that he could have just done better in general if he would have been a little bit less aggressive, or like hit me on one flank with like both of his biker squads. I think that would have been really good. Like just a couple of different plays just to like kind of double up threat and pull my attention and then he can like potentially, take over another objective another time. So I think there's some really cool play there, especially with how with mobile like Deathwatch are. You can do some cool stuff and kind of kite me if you wanted to, because my army's not super fast.
Well, we did have a chat too with some of the rules interactions, because it's really hard to think about all the things you can do and what'll come up during a game, but just something as simple as some of the order of operations with like using teleportarium and then combat squads. Danny did a really good job of highlighting one of the things that you can do is turn a stratagem that limits you to only deep striking 2 units into 4 units by way of combat squatting, as long as they're eligible for doing that, which is huge, because now you've just multiplied the threat and your ability to kind of mitigate some of the other issues that come up with
right.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. You're good.
No,
You
no.
gotta
Yeah,
raise
no,
your
that was
game.
good, man.
Yeah, it's perfect. And like, I'm really excited. Like, hopefully, I think in the next couple of months here, what I want to do is organize like a round robin tournament. And yeah, Kev, like, I would love for you to be a part of that. I don't know when or how, or if COVID decides to just keep on going to like 4 figures up in Alaska here. But I think the way to go is like a 4-person 3-round tournament, which Danny judges because I would like a chance of winning. Not really. Not really. But to get some games in, get kind of just like a hangout, like I said, and we don't play enough, Kevin. I think I've played you once, twice, maybe. But whatever it is, it's nowhere near enough.
Yeah, I'm totally down with that. I think the last time we played, you had your Death Guard tar pit with a bunch of poxwalkers, and I literally just
killed all my poxwalkers.
I killed one unit, and then the rest of the game was Mortarion just coming in and going goodbye. And I went, oh, so that's what he does.
Man, yeah. So if I was running Mortarion, that was like mid 8th. So yeah, we absolutely need to kind of get together and play something here soon. Kevin, do you have anything you want to add before we sign off here?
No, just thanks for having me on, guys. This was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. And
absolutely. Yeah. We're going to take a quick break.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. Why would you even do this? But thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Use your real name.
Poor Joe. We'll be right back.
Do you like cookies but want something more British? Buy biscuits. Not like those you have for gravy. British biscuits. For dunking in your British tea. Stiff upper lip guaranteed. Biscuits. As recommended by Queen Liz of the Britons.
Oh, man. So Kevin dropped off a little earlier because I want to talk to him like a little bit more, but that's okay. We had a great time with Kevin. Super amazing guy. Super fun to play against. Yeah, lots of excitement there. So we're going back because the last episode, my wife read a lot of the roast replies where we were like, hey, episode 150 is coming up. Roast us, but they were all so good and people wanted to hear them. We were like, okay, we have to like go sooner because there's way too many people want to tell us we're shit, which is surprising. But I'm gonna cool like, or
it's not though, John. Like it's not surprising.
I'm gonna cool your heat with a little island song, so we can like get this here and we can get going. So we're gonna read some of the other ones that maybe Amanda missed. We have John. Don't worry, the first 40 years of childhood are always the hardest.
Oh man, it's coming up.
That is.
Can we not talk about that?
That is really scary. Like for both of us, we're both 37, so yeah, that is a little too close to home. Mob rules, so full of shit. The toilet's jealous. And John and Danny, FYI, I'm not insulting you. I'm describing you.
It's like a double-tiered insult.
It is double-tiered, and I'm like,
proud.
Okay. Someone called us the dry toast of competitive podcasts.
Yeah, fair.
That's real fair. Yeah,
get a little dry.
Yeah. I am the butter.
But I'll butter your bread.
Well, so you're the bread. You're the bread. I'm the butter. I just don't show up most of the time. Mob Rules, the only podcast to ever place 87th in an RTT. We have a behind the scenes Necron Codex review where it's just Cookie Monster and Elmo holding up the Necron Codex with our logo photoshopped over them. This inspired a whole bunch of photoshops putting our logo over stuff.
Oh, okay. Cool. So there's actual memes made of
there is memes here now, which is all I really wanted. So it's like, I have recently been placed in charge of garbage. When you think of garbage, think of Mob Rules. Which honestly, like, isn't the worst insult we've ever got there.
I mean, like, look, let's just be honest. It's factual. And so I can't knock it. Like, it's just a little, it's true.
That is, yeah. We have. So
We are trash. Thank you for your $5 a month.
You know the meme where it's like the really weird monkey that's like awkwardly looking away and then looking towards. Someone posted that meme there. We'll put this on our Facebook so people can see. But it's like Danny asks the patrons to join him on voice chat. The patrons. We have mob rules. Editing was never a choice. That is fair. One of the benefits of recording the way we do right now is I don't have to edit. And then some people really mad. Mob rules, we only corrupt the good ads so we can play the shitty ads forever. People really hate whistling. And that just makes me want to play whistling more. We have...
But it's the best ad. For real. It is so good.
So good. Mob rules, new home to the 40K celebrity elite. I think that is a burn because Danny and I have both said how much we hate that term.
It's so stupid.
Lower journalistic integrity than spiky bits. Which someone said is now the most offensive thing in this chat.
Yeah, now I'm pissed.
Now I'm mad.
What asshole said that? I'll get him.
We have thick skin, but not that thick.
Yeah, you son of a bitch.
Mob rules make sense once you realize John currently has his mortgage on a 10-year bet to see if by 2024 he can have more disappointed fans in his life than disappointed women.
Wow.
I think that's a lot of different insults there flying. I only have one disappointed woman in my life, and that's my wife. Oh, actually, I think my ex-wife counts too. So two.
And your mom.
My mom, yeah. Definitely a hard third. And then we have mob rules. The podcast you wish was behind a paywall. Which, joke's on him, we are behind a paywall for 2 days.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
Mob Rules fans request Patreon to start a $50 a month tier and no public episodes for 2021 for the good of us all. Man, if you guys all want to pay us $50, I will stop producing content like yesterday.
Yeah, please do.
Please do. Mob Rules, the only podcast to get a cease and desist from Four Loko for being bad for the brand image.
As John drinks Ray's Energy.
So I'm currently drinking a Kirkland hard seltzer, but it's in a Ray's Energy Mag Gun. So like I'm being classy.
I see.
Danny seems to really like Necron Scarabs. That's true. Danny's little bug boys, Danny's little buggers, which is, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, sure. I do like scarabs.
You do.
Was that like a butt sex joke? Is that what that was?
Buggery. Yeah, I think it's like a butt sex joke there. So,
Okay.
I mean, you could probably put scarabs up your ass. I mean, you do whatever you want to do. It's just the way it is.
The problem is the little legs are like really catchy, and so you can
really scratchy.
They tear the inside of your anus.
Oh, these are okay. So these are pretty brutal. Mob Rules 1/3 of the way to being anecdotal because there's two of us.
That's good.
Mob Rules, the Warhammer 40K, the app of podcasts.
Oh man, that burns.
that burns worse than when I pee.
Yeah.
Mob Rules, two men's slightly homoerotic midlife crisis presented for your pleasure. I would say false because it used to be three men's slightly homoerotic midlife crisis presented for your pleasure. John is the worst thing to come from Europe since Forge World.
Oh, damn.
That's true.
That's pretty good, though.
John actually got deported from the UK for crimes against basing models.
Did you use Goblin Green paint?
This comes from a longstanding hatred that several of our patrons have of me using purple rims. So all of my rims are Xerxes purple because I feel it has like a good unifying army theme, but that is very much hated by some. But I have they are good. And then the reply in all caps is purple is not a rim color.
I mean, I've seen some purple rims.
That's fair.
It
Someone
happens when
said,
you don't get enough oxygen down there.
is Danny good, or does he just beat up on John a lot? I mean, they can both be true. Those aren't mutually exclusive factors right there.
Mostly the second one.
You do beat up on me a lot. Mob Rules, it's only a matter of time till it's called Raise Your Game, presented to you by BCP and Forge World. I resent that.
Hell yeah.
I resent that, because if you go to reppsports.com and use promo code SELLOUT, you can raise your game by ordering Raise energy drinks. And you know, a pro subscription to Best Coast Pairings, where you can access all lists, all tournaments, whenever you want, is a fantastic investment. And Forge World has given us zero money. I think all we've got from Forge World over the past few years is Imperial Armor 2. Or Imperial Armor Compendium. We didn't even get the Imperial Armor books last time. So
we did get this newest one.
We did get the newest one, which we thank you, and we did stream that on our YouTube channel because I didn't know what to do with it. And so yeah, if you want to see the new Imperial Armor Compendium and all the fun things are there, in 1080p and glorious Patreon provided money camera. So thank you guys, which is why we let you be so accurate about us. My favorite host of Mob Rules is Fred.
Oh,
yeah,
me too. Sorry, John.
That's fair. Since you went to remote recording, I can hear John half as much. This made the quality of the podcast twice as good. That is also accurate. Raise is the third worst thing for Mob Rules.
Third. Fuck.
And then we have
that is cruel but true.
Cruel but true. Mob Rules were too far north to be the dangly boys.
Also true.
This one's political, so get ready. In Sweden, they say 5 districts in the U.S. are still counting votes. They don't care to mention Alaska as the 6th because it's uninteresting and small, just like Mob Rules podcast.
Well, yes. Okay. Thank you.
That's fair.
Thanks for noticing.
To do our Mob Rules Patreon debut's new logo, it's just a pile of money that's burning. Mob Rules is John the reason the co-hosts always leave.
Oh, damn.
We're going to go a little inside baseball here. Yes. Oh, sorry. No. Yes. Yes. And then yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny though. Really?
Yeah. No. Yes. Yes. And that's more roasting. If you want to roast us and tell us how you really feel, yeah. Throw $1 our way. Join our Patreon. Get in our Discord, and then instantly cancel that Patreon. Give us no more money after that, and you have lifetime access. There is the Mob Rules 150 roast. We have now 2 episodes of content out of something we were planning on having for like 4 episodes from now, where we were just like, yeah, they'll make fun of us a little bit, but no, be brutal, be great. Danny and I apparently have very thick skin and the ability to drive away co-hosts, or at least one of us does here. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back to just wrap this on up. The world is changed. I feel it in the water. I feel it in the earth. I smell it in the air. Much that once was is lost. For none now live who remember it. It began with the writing of the Great Edition. 3 codexes were given to the Eldar. Immortal, wisest, and fairest of all beings. 7 to the Xenos, great guns and claws. And 9 codexes were gifted to the race of men, who above all else desire power. For within these codexes was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived. For another codex was made, in the land of Nottingham, in the fires of Warhammer World, the Dark Lord Foley forged in secret a set of supplements to control all others. And into these supplements he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. one faction to rule them all.
This should do.
Oh man, yeah. Phil left
Dude,
of his
I'm
own
cracking
accord.
up over here.
Yeah. Phil,
Okay.
Phil left of his own accord. He moved out of state and wanted to focus on his very popular Glacial Geek YouTube channel, which you should absolutely check out because it is phenomenal. The amount of work that gentleman puts in.
No kidding.
As we're wrapping up here, next episode where I was going to talk about a little bit about Imperial Armor, about winners and losers. Instead, go to our YouTube channel if YouTube is up and running right now, because right now it's down worldwide, which is causing people to just lose their shit. See some of the winners and losers. We kind of just go through the book. Tyranids, giant winners in there. No kidding. Just great stuff coming out there, which for someone who wants 3D Macarons, I'm very happy to see. Chaos, not so much. But, we have to have something to complain about as Chaos players. Otherwise, what's even the point of existing?
Yeah, like nothing's super great for like Space Marines or IG. Like I don't think anything is like really stands out for them. I think Xenos got some cool stuff.
Like nothing super stands out. But the Xenos stuff
it's just being broken, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like the Orc lifted, the custom Stompa with the double lifted Droppa. Seems like it's going to be insanely popular.
Super good. Super good.
Yeah.
We are a part of the Rogue Trader Network, which I always forget to mention, even though they are much better, more entertaining podcasts than us. We have the NZ 40 Shabal down there in New Zealand, New Zealand's number 2 hobby podcast. Doing great stuff down there. Definitely check
Andrew and Mark.
Yep.
And Hayden, like those guys are all great.
And then the other 2 New Zealand players just don't get to be on the podcast.
No, they're banned.
But like that, they have an amazing podcast that takes you through the meta and the scene that they have down there. And the important thing is New Zealand actually running tournaments right now, actually having games. So if you want to get a handle on what 9th is, check out NZ 40 Shabal. High Lords of Terra.
One of their players is going to be playing in their Masters event for the whole country, which is really cool.
Yeah, and all 2 players are going to be like really good in that last round. Like some really good insight from those guys. High Lords of Terra, Tempe and the gang just throwing out quality content week on week with some really unique insights. Month on month even. Yeah, thank you. But some really unique insights. So, like from the business end of things, they have great insights into how the app was made. They had a great episode about the 40K app, which went really deep diving into the business side of it. And they have just a lot of great insights into the modeling and things you wouldn't really kind of assume were things to have insights on. But they do, and it's very entertaining at the same time. And then
good ads too. Like
such good ads.
Pretty funny.
They're like the second best ad producer.
Yeah. They also just did a really great episode where they ripped off the Hot Ones. And they interviewed, and so they interviewed each other and like ate hot wings. They have a video of it on YouTube, and you can see Michael Tempe turn bright red.
Yeah, and it wasn't from embarrassment; it was from wings because the man has no shame.
For once. Yeah.
And then also Dangly Boys, our spiritual brothers of the South, brothers and sister of the South, were Danny.
Last and least,
Dangly Boys, DANGLYTERRIBLE. Great content, and again, as much as we don't want events to happen or we want them to happen in safe capacity, in the South, events are running fine. So if you want to see how Comp 40K is going right now, Dangly Boys is a great resource for seeing how those Southern tournaments are doing. Seth having some great performances in RTTs with Orcs.
Yep. And GTs.
And GTs. And then also helping Shelby, who she is a newer player. She wants to learn and be great with Necrons, and they're kind of chronicling her journey there. Danny joined in to kind of really dig in and kind of help make the most disgusting army possible. They also have a YouTube channel, which has some amazing quality battle reports.
For sure.
Some great...
And just tactical advice as well. Like Seth does some tactical videos that are very good.
Yeah, so definitely check those guys out there. And then, of course, us, where, we live streamed a book.
I mean, yeah, you already know.
You already know. If you've made it this far, God, what is wrong with you? That's about all I can say. But yeah, in kind of summary, it was great having Kevin on. Kevin is an amazing guy, a super fun guy to hang out with, and like you said, his growth in 40K has been like super good this past couple of years.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he's doing great.
I'm using the word super a lot, but that's fine. It is what it is.
It's fine. It's super okay.
It's super okay. Danny, what do you want to add up at the end here in your Eagles corner?
Oh, dang.
I just hit a bunch of buttons. That's just
Yeah, it's cool.
Anecdotal.
Oh, sorry, that was
Thank
early. You were going to talk first.
I really like the new codexes that are coming out. The new supplements are really fun. Okay. Thank you. Yep. And then Necron Codex is super fun. I'm pretty excited to play them some more. There's a lot of different builds and stuff I just haven't even tried yet. So I'm excited to try a bunch of new stuff.
Super excited. And we're going to be back in 2 weeks. I'm pretty sure in 2 weeks we're going to be talking about the Space Wolf Codex, which by this point will have been out forever. But I would feel more comfortable bringing on guests and people that Danny and I both want to talk to who have a good tactical acumen of Space Wolves. We just feel other people should have first dibs on them. And then hopefully more roasts. Hopefully more fun stuff. If you look at our YouTube channel today, hopefully my son has gone to bed long enough where I can kind of unbox and go through like a new release. And I'm really hopeful going forward to kind of stream some more stuff on YouTube, if that's even still a thing after today, on Saturdays.
Nice. Yeah, right.
We'll see. But Danny, anything else you want to add before we kind of cut out here and cut and run away?
Nope. I'm good. I think we covered everything.
Amazing. Hopefully next time we come back to, we'll get back to some more character stuff. We've given that a break after, like, I think the last one didn't even crack the top 5. But hopefully this has given us enough time to kind of think of someone who could really make it in there. And I think really Siege of Terra, like spoilers, Maximus Thane, spoilers, someone could really kind of break into that top 5 there. But from all bros, I've been John.
I've been Danny.
And we'll see you next time. Guys, you've listened this far, and if you're expecting Brent Bot, you are wrong. He is not appearing today, but Raise Energy is appearing today. Now, if you go to repsports, reppsports.com, and pick out your Raise Energy flavor, and you can get Voodoo.
Oh, yeah.
Voodoo is apparently a flavor. There is a flavor that is shaped...
Magic.
There's a flavor that is colored like an American flag. And if you don't order that, you're not a patriot. But use our promo code SELLOUT to get money off your order and support this podcast, which why on earth would you want to do either of those things? Promo code SELLOUT, REPP sports.com.
For your kidneys.
I lived in Canada my whole life. Big milk is so normal. However, it seems to be a mystery for a lot of people online, especially Americans. I'll show you how big milk works. We have them in bags to keep them fresh. Now, it comes in a big bag at any grocery store. Some places recycle them, but most people throw them out. You can also donate them to most church groups, and they weave them into mats for poor countries. In a big bag, there are 3 bags, and they're a little over a liter each. Do you know how fresh the bag milk is? Each bag has a best before date. Milk pitchers are very common. You can get them at any home furnishing store. They probably even sell them at the dollar store. They're very easy to find. You just place the bag in a pitcher upright. Now, you probably want to know how to get the milk out. Snippets are very useful. And you just cut one corner of the bag, You can also use scissors, and it's that simple. You just cut it. Now it pours nice and smooth, and it's that easy. There you have it. Please like, share, comment, it's much appreciated.